So there's a major problem with social media. People talk about Facebook ruling the world and stuff, and some of the Facebook problems lately with massive networks going out and it's affect WhatsApp, which is one of the primary ways people communicate in places like India, Instagram, and more. It's become a real serious issue. And with these big social media companies, there's a couple of big problems. One is people are less likely to trust big companies, and also certainly would trust a big corporate overlord thingamabobber that could control every little aspect. And power does corrupt, remember that. And now people are becoming more acceptable of sources, but at times there's and then there's this like, oh, where did you get that? And people, and they don't even know who's running it. So you have less time holding people accountable and talking about it from that kind of perspective. There also has the huge problem of if you hack such a big organization, you have a lot more, it's a lot more people you can hack and get information from, and you can hurt a lot more people or control a lot more people in many ways, or lock them out and make people desperate. Now, if it's also very big, maybe you don't notice as much the small instances of hacking here and there and here and there. Now with a big, more profitable target, it means more people are going to try to hack that one place. So it's going to get more attacks and it's more incentive. If you have many minor, small organizations, they're not as motivated to develop, to attack each one as much. So people might even try to hack less overall. Or if they hack, there's a reason why. And it's easier, if people have more of a clear motive, it is easier to figure out who did it and that kind of thing. And if there's less data and stuff to sort through, also to do it. We see what happens now again if the whole system falls apart. Massive internet outages all over the place. Just massive bad internet outages. And then people can get desperate and panicky, which can lead to conspiracy theories. A lot of people still try to make up theories about what happened on Facebook, which is still not clear. A couple weeks ago, there's some things about user things, but also monopoly stops competition. So people do not innovate as much. It can raise the price of products. If they choose to make business suites or something like that, they can control the process of information more to take what's good, what's bad. They can also outreach special communities that maybe for social media for specific groups of people, or so on and so on. Just lots of control. And then when there's a monopoly, it's really, really hard for anyone else to establish themselves in the field because the big company can just buy them out, or it's the only company you hear about. Maybe it's a mini Facebook somewhere out there, but no one hears about it because Facebook is so freaking big. Another one is that big companies are not much likely to fill in specific needs or roles. Like maybe you really need a local one, or maybe there's a specific need. Maybe you want to make a new social media website for people that are hard of hearing or that don't want to listen to stuff as much with subtitles more, or with special screens things for people that have eye problems, or something like more of a specific, or maybe you have certain really slow internet, so you want to design one that works well on slow internet. A big company is not as likely to look at these specific needs or scenarios. So that's like my fourth point. Another point is moderation. The bigger thing it is, the harder to moderate because it gets a mess. Unless moderators are held accountable for what they do, because they're more seen as a far-off, distant figure. In a small community, if you go up to your local shop, you expect more, it to be better with higher quality stuff and complain. And you hold them to higher standards than a big corporate Walmart or something, where it's not supposed to be as moderated as much, or that they put less resource in moderation. They have instead of a 1 to 10 ratio, they have a 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000. And these moderators might not be as close to your community. Maybe they don't know the language as well, which is a huge problem that happened in actually the Rohingya genocide is that was fueled by stuff on Facebook and social media. because they didn't have enough moderators that spoke the local language. So huge problems there. Profit. The bigger the company, the more for profit they are, and the more they can read out other people, and less they're likely to be nice and care about the owners and stuff like that. So there's a huge profit problem with these mega corporations just being out there and just trying to suck you dry. And yeah, then when they suck out small people dry, that leaves small people to be poor. Hence note. Security. Security is another issue. So first of all, now it's a bigger target in hacking. But when you have a lot of small groups of people that are using software, it can become more secure for a couple of reasons. One is what I previously talked about, but another one is that different people can use different code, slightly different code. That means when people are using slightly different codes, the different codes might have different bugs or different vulnerabilities, but you can't as easily hack one to another one. It's not as connected as much, so it's not as much of a network to spread out. People, if they also see that there's a virus spreading and they detect it in one piece of code, social media website, then the other ones can be warned and update themselves before they get infected and spreads out. So there's a slowing and warning aspect for security. People can try different bug fixes or update it faster, the local network, instead of updating the whole network, which might need to switch on one big on and off switch. And you could also have different user databases, so that could also mean that the bad guys can get more segregated to one user database, maybe making it less of a problem of security, because people just don't want to target certain ones of these groups in the first place. Maybe they don't want to hack people that just don't have as much to give them. I don't know, but there's a lot of things. And also, if a small website is more likely to be carefully managed and watched by people and curated to be more secure, and people might put more of an investment into it as a personal project. And with more people working on it, more security again. Speed. This is a very arguable one for small networks, but small networks might be more local, which might make them faster, but then if you're far away, they'll be significantly slower, and they might have less resources. So speed is one that can argue really back and forth. A small database is less likely to track you and break privacy laws in many ways. So that is an obvious bonus right there. Then there comes to money, which is, I talked about profit before, but if you have a bunch of small startup networks, either the smaller startup networks can give more money to more people and spread out money more evenly, which can help the economy more, arguably. You could also argue that a bigger network would mean that it can be more efficient and use less resources, so less money is wasted, and then so on and so on. But that's not usually what happens, because people, the top is greedy and acts instead just siphons money to themselves and kicks out other people. So I would argue that. Now, how would I fix all of these problems? Well, I have an idea to make that some big group of people, either a big organization with a lot of backing and good programmers, or the government makes an open source platforms. What is open source? Well, simply put, open source means that the code is freely available, which means that I can copy paste it and use the code and modify it however I want. This means that a lot of people can start up their own media ones. Now, there's still some huge limitations, is you have to host the servers and everything. So if you really want to make it big, you still need a lot of power. But that means that a lot of fairly decent sized companies can start making their own social media of various programs. And how would I promote an open source one? Well, first of all, the first easiest way is just for a government or an organization to spend a lot of money on it now and take a lot of time programming. But there's other ways we can promote more of these open source ideas and small ones. We can have maximum profit laws. And the idea with these profit laws is, or laws limiting profit, which could make the more open source ones more of a viable competition option. Size limits on companies. So no company in this whole thing can be way, way too big. Data collection laws so that it also hurts the big companies and can make the small ones more usable. You can have education, so you can educate people so that they're less likely to use these massive groups, and they're also more likely to do it. You can try to promote local groups to do it and say that you can make it specifically for your specific needs, for maybe one for your town, or maybe a website for your friends, or certain need-based or culture-based or something. You could also have it as a programming project that people participate in and design themselves and stuff like that. Then this could breed, having all these small ones could breed innovation, such as better algorithms to match people to certain type of content, better interfaces, better security ones, as people fool around with security ones, like different securities. It can make people more interested in programming. In the first place, it can make people, if they're making their own social media website, they can talk about the biases and the problems with social media and see it firsthand. Like if you do something firsthand, you see more of the problems. It could lead to a lot more people being hired. Now, these are just some ideas. I do want to point out some of the best security is actually on open source things. Ironically, because those open source things get updated so much and so many people are looking at them for flaws and stuff that it actually beats it. So please do not discount as open source as not secure. Linux is open source, and Linux is what everything is based on almost, and it gets updated so quickly when a new hack attack comes. Well, maybe it's still not quick enough, but I'm just getting my point across to some extent. Well, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Oh yeah, and I do say state-sponsored and government-sponsored. I have said that, and local groups. I do not mean that the government or state keeps it up, control. I mean that this software other people can copy. I want to make that really clear and use it for themselves. Well, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really hard, but with your help, I think I can do it. The reason why I want to do this is because I wanted to make a little bit of money out of this, and also that's when YouTube really starts advertising it more to other people, and I can start gaining subscribers. And if I can gain subscribers, I feel like I can help more people out and spread more education and awareness, but also I can increase the quality of everything I do here because I can spend more time on it, and I can also buy better equipment, and I also can help with my illnesses and stuff like that by just splitting money there. And if you have any ideas for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comment section below. Thank you very much. Goodbye.